Sneaky tricks to keep your joints feeling great no matter how hard you train. Hey, I'm Sarah from mostmotion, and I'm here with a video for every exercise enthusiast who's ever been told they have weak glutes or they begin a resistance band to help with their injury rehab. So if this is you, listen up. I've got some really cool tricks for you to help with all of that and fast track your recovery so you can get back to training without pain and beating all your friends because they're suffering and you're not. So the first thing is that you cannot build strength from a restricted muscle, okay? Now, most muscles that are diagnosed as being weak aren't. They're just restricted. Now, the best way I can explain this to you is to imagine that you and I are in an arm wrestling match, okay? Now, just bear with me for a second and humor me, because I want to assume that we are of equal strength, okay? Now, if we are both of equal strength and we start from this position at the top here and we both push, then nothing happens. No movement happens. We can both strain as hard as we like. And because we are of equal strength, nothing happens. Okay. Now, as soon as I move my hand into a different position, so now I'm in a position of weakness and you are in a position of strength, even though we are of equal strength, you will win every single time we push. Okay, so from here, I have to work harder to counteract your strength, even though we are of equal strength. Okay, you will win every single time. But as soon as we start back from here, again, nothing happens. Okay, now most muscles that are diagnosed as being weak have been moved into a position of weakness, and that's why they can't fire properly. And it makes logical sense to most people that if something is weak and it's not functioning properly, we need to strengthen it. But that's not the issue, because when you try and strengthen muscles from this weakened position, all you're doing is fighting against the tightness and the shortening of the muscles on the front of the body. Okay, so let's say it was the shoulders. If my shoulders are rounded like this and I try and strengthen using resistance bands and all that to strengthen the back of my shoulder, then I'm still fighting against the tightness here, and all I'm doing is making my perceived weak muscles, my restricted muscles, more tired, which is going to cause more injury. So the second thing is that you cannot fight nature and expect to win, because we are human beings and we are living creatures. So when we are injured or something like that, we go to a position of comfort, okay? And that is towards the midline of the body. So if I was to draw a straight line from my head down through my nose, down through my sternum, all the way down to the floor, that is the center line of your body. And what happens when we want comfort is that we pull everything into that center line. So let's say it hurt my hand, for example. I wouldn't wave it out here for you to knock it. I would hold it close to me, and I would hold it close to my center. Okay, now the closest to the center it gets, the more comforting it feels. So if everything is rolling towards the center of the body and I'm trying to fight that tightness and that natural instinct to try and strengthen the back of my shoulder, then I'm not going to win that battle very easily. Okay, it might take some of the symptom away, but that's not to say it's going to fix the problem, and that's the difference. Okay, so bodies are built a certain way, so you're going to get tightness into certain areas, like hips, for example. They fold a certain way, your knees fold a certain way. You're building tightnesses in these areas all the time without even knowing it. So trying to fight them by creating glute exercises or using resistance bands in the shoulder example that I just gave is kind of it's a lot of work to get a tiny weeny bit of progress, whereas if we switch our approach, we can make a lot more progress a lot faster. And that is to take the restriction away rather than trying to strengthen it first. Okay, so the third thing that I want to share with you today is that labels are misleading. All right, if I use injury labels, for example, injury labels, or the names of injuries, are literally just pointing to the symptoms. Okay, it tells me where the pain is, but the pain isn't where the problem is. But our logical human brains will go, oh, there's pain there, that must be where the problem is, because we never look for the problem before we have the pain. So our brains make the leap into pain equals problem, when actually the muscle tightness and the joint position changes that happen before that pain comes are the problem, not the pain itself. So If we wait for pain, we will logically make that leap that pain is the problem when it isn't. And then we will observe things like weak muscles because they weren't there before. All right, the joint position has changed. It's created a lengthening in the back of the body. So like the rounded shoulder example. And then we will observe those muscles in the back of the body not being able to fire properly, and we will label them weak. And if we think of it as a strength balance rather than a length balance, then we will logically go into trying to strengthen the weak things. Okay, but it's better to remove the restriction that's causing the problem rather than trying to fight it. Okay, so in summary, this video, okay, I want you to take 3 things away. The first one is that don't dive into strength as your first port of call, because you will take a lot longer to get any results. Okay. Second is to restore the length balance across a joint rather than the strength balance. If you sort the length out, okay, so some muscles will go short, some muscles will go long. If we redress that length balance, the strength balance will sort itself out, okay? And the third thing is don't be misled by the symptom, because that will lead you to look for the pain rather than the non-painful tightness that's actually causing the issue, okay? So if you're really serious about getting rid of your pain and your weak glutes, for example, then the hip flexor is a really great place to start. And I have a free hip flexors 5 ways videos that you can go and check out now. It will help you to unravel all the tightness in your hip flexors, which everybody has because we sit down a lot. And that's the way our hips are built, okay? So go and check out, click the link in the description for the hip flexors 5 ways video. It's completely free. Don't forget to let me know how you get on. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.